We open with a young Deku going to the quirk doctor with his mother. Now, if you're wondering, this what if is gonna be what if Deku was half archangel. As they made their way to the hospital, they were attacked by a criminal. And this criminal had a simple fire and a simple quirk. As they had tried to attack Izuku and his mother, all of a sudden, just as his fire came in contact with Izuku, a wing sprouted from his back with a sort of a silver tint to it, as it cut the villain right in half. And as if time itself stopped, Izuku blinked, and all of a sudden he saw the dead corpse of the villain lying in front of him, with his head, with half of his body on the floor. Inko, not knowing what the hell just happened, ran to the hospital with her child. They quickly told the doctors on what happened, and they tested Izuku and said he had a mysterious quirk that not been seen and heard of. His wings being him having sort of a mutation quirk. But Izuku at this time was passed out, as when the wing popped out, it kind of drained him all of his energy. Ingo said, but the doctor said, your son's quirk is a very powerful one. We think he may have the power of an angel. Inko being mostly confused as she is not much of a church person. So, he thanked the doctors and went home. Let's skip 3 days later. Izuku goes to school and tells everyone about his quirk. They call his quirk Archangel. And in this, Izuku has sort of white hair. And white eyes. Silver kind of eyes. Bakugo didn't bully Izuku, although he still had his Baku bitch superiority complex. His explosion quirk wasn't. He kind of respected Izuku in a way, as him and Izuku fought. And in this one, Izuku isn't that little wimp that we saw. He's more of a literal combat. He's less frail, a little bit more buffy, and he kind of knows karate, martial arts. Specifically, karate. As one day him and Bakugo got in a fight, and he won, because he can't control his quirk due to its nature, yet. As he accidentally struck down Bakugo, scarring his eye. But Bakugo, he somehow healed after the scar hit his eye. Sure, bled a lot, but healed. Now, we skip a couple weeks after the fight happened. Izuku started getting... This is when Bakugo, instead of being friends with Izuku, would start beating the living crap out of him. Breaking his arms, the casual being a Baku bitch. Nearly killing Deku in occasions. But there was one occasion that scared the living human out of Bakugo. Just as he knew he was about to blast Izuku's eye out, a sword stabbed him right in his hand. And it started to spin rapidly until it drilled through his palm, nearly tearing off his arm. He looked, crying in pain, as a gaping, bleeding wound was on his hand. Seemingly came out of nowhere, and then he looked at Izuku, clad in white armor with 4 wings, and somewhat of an angelic-like figure. But he knew this wasn't Izuku. All of a sudden, Izuku spoke. "Human, you dare strike a god." Before Bakugo could even react to the sentence, he saw a skull in his face, roaring in fury, as if his very soul was being ripped from his body. He began to scream in agony, feeling all the pain he had done to Izuku, like all of it, breaking of limbs, everything, amplifying the wound on his arm until Deku was about to cut his head right off. But then the teachers came and the teachers came and stopped Izuku. That's the one occasion that made Bakugo speak feet. Instead of hating Izuku, he feared him. He went from being his friend to his bully to fearing him. We skip about 5 years. Izuku being like 10. He would be walking home after a long day of school. His life would be nearly the same as Canyon, although Bakugo wouldn't be bullying him due to having the fear of death and the scar on his eye and his hand to remind him of how strong Deku is. During the 5-year time skip, Deku learned more about his quirk and how to control it, coming up with 3 techniques. One being kind of like Hawk's techniques, where he calls Holy Shower, where he showers his opponents in feathers shaped like blades. And the second technique is when he clads himself in armor, which he calls it holy. He calls it the divine armor due to its godlike figure. The third technique, having the ability to basically being able to create a spear made of light, strong enough to even break entire mountains, but that's too straining on his body. He gets home to find Inko on the ground on the couch, tired and sleeping. So he lays her down in her bed and covers her up, and he makes dinner. But a couple hours later, he gets a knock on the doors. But he wasn't expecting anyone, so he went to open it. Of course, he pulled out his wings. But when he opened it, he saw a tall, muscular man who was blonde, with 2 policemen standing beside him. Deku, being a fanboy, easily recognized that it was All Might and said, "Oh my God, it's All Might!" And then, naturally, yeah, you know how it goes. And then All Might says, calm down. But they ask to come inside of Izuku's house. Izuku, letting them in, questions why would the number 1 hero in the police want him. They said they heard from from a certain kid from his school, the teachers actually, that he nearly killed someone with his quirk. So he's being taken in because of that. And mostly due to who his father is. Deku not knowing who his father is, because his mother told him his father's a very powerful businessman who goes around the world daily. So Izuku kind of resented his father, although he respected him. So he was confused as they pulled him as he was in jail for a couple of weeks. Inko bailed him out a couple of weeks later, but All Might stopped him, found him. Then we skip to the sledgehammer attack. Izuku was walking after getting casually bullied at school by other kids and tortured by the teachers. Bakugo not messing with him, usually he would fear, due to Bakugo moving away with his mom after being little 6'9" and telling All Might and the police, framing Deku in a way, as the slice. Izuku felt strong vibrations in the ground, as that was one of the abilities he acquired while in prison, the ability to sense seismic activity and seismic waves. So he looked and saw something sludge come out of the pipes. Scared and as if on cue, his wings popped out and he started blasting holy blades at the thing. They would fly through him due to him being there sludge. Izuku, not being able to fight, resorted to his last resort. His wings glowed, sprouting two more wings similarly instantly. And then he yelled out, "Ark!" And the sludge villain exploded, going everywhere. Now it would go as canon with Deku asking the big question: can I become a hero with this quirk? All Might being a little bit hesitant as Izuku turned, he saw smoke and then a frail, skeletal man standing there, coughing blood. As Izuku screamed, "Ah! Where's All Might, you faker?" All Might said, calm down," kind of with a more frail voice. He explained his injury that he got, and yet he said, instead of answering, he just looked and nodded to Izuku, making Izuku simp for him even more. And then, naturally, after this, Izuku, we skip to the UA entrance exams, as he goes to Yahaba Beach with All Might to train with him, as he asked and begged All Might. All Might said he had another student, which Deku would probably love to meet Deku. So, well, that student not being Mirio, instead it would be Kirishima. Due to Kirishima's quirk, All Might thought he would be a better host of One for All than Mirio being, due to him having the ability to harden his body like stone and iron, making him the perfect fit for One for All. As he is now, he can only use about 32% of One for All. And him and Deku sparred over the next couple of weeks, Deku easily winning due to him having a near godlike quirk. Him studying and learning more about his father's name being Lucifer Morningstar. And their names are the Midoriya, their last names are Morningstars, the Morningstar family. As the 10 months are over, as Kirishima and Deku are sparring with each other, Deku hears a similar voice yell, "Deku!" And he looks up to see Bakugo standing there. He's like, "Oh, hey Bakugo." Deku's like, "Don't hate Bakugo, me nerd!" And naturally, being Bakugo, charges down and tries to attack Deku, but Kirishima comes and blocks it. Deku says, "It's okay." Deku tells Kirishima to calm down, that this is his old friend from middle school that he kind of scared into moving away by mistake. Bakugo kind of having more of a superiority complex due to the school he went to, meeting Yaoyorozu, because his mom had more paying job than she did in canon, being able to rack in thousands of dollars every day. Bakugo yelled at Deku about he will yada 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 no simple Bakugo stuff. Basically being season 1 Bakugo. Deku got annoyed at this and just flew off as him and Kirishima went to the entrance exam. They did the whole fuck the test thing. We don't talk about the written test. Ida did his whole know-it-all thing, yada yada, canon. Then we get to the beginning of the entrance exam. While Izuku and Kirishima are in the same placement, as Deku is walking in, he falls and he trips on a stone, where he has all the power, strong enough power to destroy entire blocks, but apparently doesn't have the ability to sense a simple piece unstable rock. As he settles his fate until he hears a float, then a release, looking and seeing a brunette girl. That girl being Ochako Uraraka. Izuku naturally never talking to a girl, stutters, canon stuff. Then that happens. Then that's a flashback, and the doors open and Izuku runs in more. Due to being at least faster than Reciprocal Burst Season 5 Ida, making him roughly the fastest person in all of Tokyo, right below being right under Ida in terms of speed. As he gets in, he starts raining, flies up, and instead of fighting, he sits and meditates in the air, somehow making literal beings of holy light. He calls them the Holy Legion, summoning roughly about 4 angels with 2 wings. As he doesn't have to do anything, he just has the angels fight for him, as that's one of the abilities he developed from fighting Kirishima. As All Might told him about the vestiges, so he got that very idea. So then he heard screams, as he could see, he in a sense could see through the eyes of the angel. He saw a giant robot running. But this robot wasn't like the Canon Zero Point. No, this thing was like a walking planet destroyer. It had a sword big enough to cut an entire city, a skyscraper. It had missile launchers. It had armor strong enough to resist a 100% smash from All Might. This thing was built to withstand a fight with All for One and One for All. Due to this, Goku, naturally fearing for his life, ran away because his angels weren't strong enough to fight something of that scale, being roughly about 1,500 meters tall. But then he heard a little bit of scream, and then he's like, God damn it. So he flies over and sees it's Uraraka, having his angels help Uraraka as he lands and gets serious, as he hadn't gotten serious in a couple years, or months, as he just unlocked a new ability besides the Holy Legion. He's gotten a fight somewhat of a stance similar to Goku's stance, as he had an aura surround him. He looked up and yelled, "Omnipotent sword!" As if instantaneously, the robot blew up, split in half. In the teacher's lounge, Nez was like, how in the hell? All Might said, how did he manage to destroy it in one shot? I didn't know he was that strong. Naturally, everyone being super surprised, everyone knowing, definitely Eraser's class. He looks disciplined too, Nezu said. So then, yada yada, canon stuff happens. Then Izuku flying through the halls at breakneck speeds, literally breaking necks. Finally finds Yuen. He's like, holy shit, are one of the Titans in the damn thing? As yes, in this timeline, anime does exist, and Shingeki no Kyojin does exist, because why not? It's an anime inside of an anime inside of an anime. So he opens the door and sees Uraraka and 2 familiar faces, Ida and Bakugage. He hears, "Get your feet off the desk, that is very disrespectful." Bakugo being like, "Shut up, you damn 4 eyes." Deku not giving 2 shits about that until Ida casually runs over him. Deku being a little bit more irritable in this. What if? Says, "What do you want?" I'm trying to sit down, and then Ida says, congratulates him on getting first place in the test, and yada yada yada, order. Then he hears a female voice. I know that hair. Deku turns around, sees Uraraka, and due to him having high senses, Aizawa laying in his thing, he didn't point it out though, as he wants to see the reactions. As he says, "Alright, enough with the chit-chat, class. If you're here to make friends, you can leave." And then, naturally, they all scream except for Deku. So, Aizawa, canon stuff happens until the test. Izuku getting first on the test, walked up. Bakugo, being arrogant, walks up and says, "Out of my way, extras." But then feels a sword to his neck, such as flames, kind of similar to Davi's, but way superior to Davi's. His flames are hot enough to incinerate entire continents. So then, he hears Deku say, "He wasn't talking to you, idiot." As in this, Deku, once he gets his quirk unlocked and strong enough, he gets big enough balls to make Bakugo his actual bitch. Which, he's kind of going to always make. He's going to put Bakugo in his place. So then, yeah, Aizawa says, hands him the ball and says, what was your highest score in middle school? Deku, being a nerd, trying to remember, was like, I don't know. Basically his canon, what he said in canon. Aizawa says, alright, but this time you get to use your quirks. Deku be like, oh, thank God! He doesn't pull out his wings, as his arm becomes a tint of white. As he yells, holy cannon! And launches the thing, nearly reaching infinity. About 9,575 feet. Everyone being surprised, like, how in God's great divine name? Izuku kind of being an angel, sort of, doesn't know he's an actual son of an angel. Boss likes him. Don't bring him into this. Then Bakugo went up, cannon scores. Aizawa said whoever goes last, lose it, gets expelled. Mineta coming in last. Aizawa says, y'all niggas thought, oh shit, you guys thought I was joking about getting expelled? Well, I wasn't. Grit balls, you're out of here. Maybe try next time. The girls praying, saying thank God that Mineta was gone as he tried them earlier. So they were happy. Izuku cutting all his balls off on his head every time they regroup. and went on with their canon bullshit. And that's where I'll be leaving off part 1 of What If Deku Was an Archangel.